this is Lessons by Rebel Girl, and I know a lot of teachers struggle with academic vocab because it's something that no matter what you teach, if you teach social studies, ELA, math, science, art, choir, band, cooking, you name it, you are going to have to teach the words that are used that are specific to that, to whatever content you're teaching. So I have throughout the years evolved how I teach it, and I wanted to share a couple of those strategies. So number one, and this is so much fun, what I do is I tell the students, you are going to tell me what the definition of this brand new word that you've never heard of is. You will. You're going to tell me, and it's going to shock you. And what I do is I put up a slide with the word, and we practice the word, saying the word a couple of times, especially if it's something that's they've never heard before and it's kind of difficult, like sovereignty or exoneration or xenophobia or scapegoat, to name a few that I teach. And I have some visual clues. And what I do is I explain each clue so that they know what they're looking at. So if one of the clues is a gavel, because I'm trying to talk about something that involves the law or a court, I want to make sure they know what that is and what it's used for. So I have those clues up there. I have students help me figure out what the visuals, what they are, what they mean. And then I say, so you are going to make some predictions. You are going to talk in your group. I think it's really important that students collaborate as much as possible, and that they're not just by themselves with their own thoughts, that they're bouncing ideas off of each other, like I said before. So usually I give at least 2 minutes or so. And what I do in that time is I wander around, right? And I listen to them, and and sometimes I'll give them a little push towards the right answer. I won't tell them what it is, but I'll give them a little push, a little hint, a little, yeah, you're getting warmer, right? And so what I do is after the end of the 2 minutes or however long I think that they need, I say, okay, let's figure out what have we come up with. And so I'll start calling on students, right? And usually the students will, if they get it somewhat close, I want to use their words. So for instance, for treaty, if they say, I think it's an agreement, right? I'm like, okay, you're close. You're right. So let's think about that. And so I'll write in agreement. And then and I'm like, let's I need more ideas here. And then someone will be like, I think it's something that goes beyond an agreement. Maybe something like legal. And I'm like, okay, so it's like a legal agreement, right? And so they're like, okay, so it's a legal agreement. So that, and I'm like, well, okay, do you think it's an illegal agreement between one person and another? And one of my clues up there has some countries on it. So they're like, oh, no, no. It's like, and that's when they tell me, or someone tells me. And every single time I get the right answer from them because I help them. And someone will say, no, it's like countries. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's use a different word. What's it? And if they don't, because I'm trying to get them to say nations. So if they have the right word, but I want them to use like the word is correct, but for our context, for what we're learning, I want a different word, right? Because we're not talking, when I'm talking about treaties, we're not talking about treaties between, the United States and Canada. I'm actually talking about between the United States and different tribes. And so I help them with the word nation. I'm like, what else can a country be called? And they will say nation. If they don't, if I have a class that's like really stuck for some reason, I will do things like, well, it starts with an N and ends with an N. But I'm going to get them to say it. It's really, really, really important. Even if my hint is so obvious, it is really important for them to say those words. And so what I do is I end up writing, the whole class helps me, and I end up writing the correct definition in their words, right? And then the kids will write it. One of the things I wanted to say really quick with that, with the first strategy, which is pretty, I mean, there's not much to it, but it's highly effective because it gets all the kids talking. It gets them all talking. It gets them thinking. It gets them scratching their head. It gets them making predictions, which is really important. It's a huge thing that I do in my classroom. And so even though it's really simple, and sometimes it's the simple stuff that work the best, it's incredibly engaging. And because it's like they're unraveling a mystery, right? They're putting pieces together of a puzzle, right? And because they're playing detective with this word, it means something to them, and it gets them, it means something. It gets them excited. It gets me excited, right? Because I know I can see it every time. It doesn't matter how many times I do this. I always get chills because it works every time. And it's amazing to see them get so excited over figuring out this vocab word. So then when they write down the meaning, it means something more to them because they're so smart. They figured it out. Okay, right? So the second thing that I do is called, it's actually an ELL, is a strategy for teaching students who are learning a new language. But I think it works for all students. And it's actually it's an acronym. It's called TPR, which stands for Total Physical Response. But in essence, it's basically just about using your body, making a motion that will help you remember this word or this phrase or whatever. So for instance, I will say treaty, a legal contract between nations, right? And the kids are always like, between nations. So that has helped immensely. What I really love about this whole like TPR is that it's really easy to come with on the fly because you let them do it. If at all possible, or when at all possible, let the students come up with the creative stuff. Put as much in their hands as you can. And so I put the definition in their hands, right? And then I put the motion in their hands. So it's them. They don't realize this, but they're actually kind of teaching themselves with my guidance, right? Well, I'm being sneaky about it, but whatever. It's going to stick more, which is the point. So it works out later as like a little stretch brain break, right? So if they can see it, if they can hear it, if they can say it, if they can write it, they can do the motion for it, then they've done all these things, or it's going to help them remember that word and associate it, right, with the actual meaning. So that's it for today. If you are a teacher and you have a cool strategy, I would love for you to share with me. I think it's really important. That's a major reason why I'm doing this channel, is I think it's really important that teachers share what works for them, because there's never too many tools in our teacher toolbox. So I am growing my channel, so please make sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And all right, well, let me know if there is a topic of interest that you would like me to explore on my channel, and I'll give you some kudos for it. All right.